so now it's been a little bit since I've done. I was really hoping to do a couple Star Trek episodes a week, and I sort of broke on that a little bit just because life intervened. So I've got a little bit of a backlog. I've got a 2-episode backlog of Star Trek. The last one I left off on was episode. Let's see, where did? Okay, we're gonna a little bit of live research. There we go. So we're on episode. When last we left off, we're on episode 7, where what little girls are made of, which is really just good classic. It's a solid episode. It's good classic pulp sci-fi. They get into contact with Nurse Chapel's fiance, who's been sort of missing on this planet for a number of years, and he's been, it's this planet where the population has been destroyed by the artificial robot people that they created, which, like, relevant much today, maybe. And yeah, so like they meet up with him, and the whole episode is sort of the questions about artificial intelligence and the nature of consciousness, and again, just good pulpy science fiction idea-based storytelling. I would say this is the first, solid appearance of red shirts as a concept. You have a pair of dudes in red shirts who were beamed down specifically for the purpose of they get killed to set up the stakes, and which is obviously a very famous Star Trekism that went on throughout the run of the show. But yeah, this was the first, like, episode 7. This is the first one. It's like, okay, here's where we haven't really had that in that blatant a way until this one. So that was kind of fun. Features Lurch from the Addams Family. I was had to sort of put a pause and pull up IMDb. It's like, that looks like Lurch. Like, it's got to be Lurch from the Addams Family. Like, is it? Like, because yeah, it is. So you got some appearances from some classic old era studio actors in it. Love the wardrobe on Lady AI Robot. That is some sexy wardrobe making. That's one thing they really knew how to do well in 60s Trek, is to to design clothes where she's like, there's just enough skin to be like, oh, like this lady is in shape, but just like enough covered to be sort of like your dopey male brain go like, but I also like how I'll be honest, I've grown to like how sort of cheap the show looks. Like, there's one point where Kirk is having having a fight with Lurch, and he like rips off this stalactite. It's this clearly styrofoam stalactite, and on a lot of ways it's super tacky, but also it's just the most charming thing in the world, and I'll take that a million times over dumping $100 million into all of these properties the way that we do now. But again, I would say the main point of the episode is nature of consciousness. We meet up with Chapel's fiance, and like, the question is his consciousness, it's a robot body of him, is his consciousness, is it actually him? And that's that question. If you could copy your consciousness into a robot body, would it still be you? And I tend to think about it in sort of editorial terms. Is it a copy, or is it a transfer? Like, if you're literally pulling your consciousness from one bucket into another bucket, you could argue that it's still you. If it's a copy, if you're copying your file from one drive to another, they still exist on both drives. So there's heavy questions. as to, is this still you or not? And the fiance he still seems to think it's him, but the sort of consensus among the crew is no, this is not you. And that's the type of those are the type of sort of thought provoking conversation that Star Trek was built on, and make the show still worth watching today for the most part. As we'll go into this next episode, Miri, which does not play as well now. I think the concept itself is very interesting. They go down to a planet, and the conceit is that there is some sort of disease that at a certain age, the disease is killing the adults, and the only people left are children. One of them is a 15-year-old who very much looks like a 40-year-old man, which is always hilarious to see in television. Happened back then. It still happens now. It's particularly funny in the 60s because this guy, it's like a 15-year-old with a receding hairline. It's quite funny. But what doesn't play anymore is the 15-year-old girl character. Clearly it's like coming into womanhood, and Kirk is, the hunky 30-year-old guy, and like she clearly has a thing for him. And it's a little weird in a modern sense seeing Kirk be flirty with this person, because you wouldn't do that. Like maybe like 60 years ago, 16 years old would have been seen as adult. You're not an adult at 16. Like I think back to when I was 16, it's just like I was a dumbass. And most 16-year-olds are dumbasses. You are not an adult then in any capacity. So you would not write Kirk to be as flirty with this 15-year-old girl now as they did back then. And that was sort of a little very awkward, very uncomfortable, and it didn't really play well. And it's you'd play it more like, and my best point of comparison is one of Roger Moore's James Bond films, For Your Eyes Only, which was 70. No, that one. So Moonraker would have been 79. So For Your Eyes Only would have been 81 or 82. So fast forward to the 80s, and there's scenes in it. There's a teenage character that essentially throws herself at Bond, and he's like essentially like, no. This is not a thing we're doing. Like, get up. Like we're gonna do this because like James Bond has age standards. I may be a I may philander all over the place, but like this is not work. This is not a thing we do. So you'd have to write Kirk, I think, in a similar way to that now, and it would be appropriate to write him in that manner at this point in time. And that's what we call progress. But it does, for that reason, I think this particular episode doesn't hold up as well as other episodes of Star Trek. But that wraps us out for the day. Scrubs revival, solid 4 out of 5. I think if you're a fan, you're going to like it. Shrinking is a 3.5 out of 5, mainly because of I think some of the questionable ethics of what's been being presented in the show. On the whole, it's just an absolute delight. It's got those sort of Ted Lasso, again, magnanimous vibes. So that's worth checking out. And as usual, I mean, just go back and watch OG Star Trek. Like, it's still, the writing still rocks. It still rocks hard, and it is well worth you checking out and putting your time into it. You'll get a lot more out of it than a lot of what they're doing with Trek right now.